Hi, I'm Stuart from the Norfolk Honey Company and welcome to more beekeeping basics. So today we're going to take a look at oxalic acid treatment using the Trickle method. It's early December. I would normally leave my oxalic acid treatments until between Christmas and the New Year. We're trying to find a period that the colony is as close to being broodless as possible. So we want the weather to be relatively cold, and I always tend to aim for the shortest day around the 21st of December leading through to the beginning of January. I have no scientific reason for that. I just feel that with the short day that might be significant to the bees, and as the days lengthen, so maybe the queen starts to lay more eggs. But as I say, I have no scientific reason for doing that. So what I'm going to do is to show you the way that I would prepare for treating the bees with oxalic acid, and then we'll go out to the hives and we'll treat a couple of hives. Again, normally what I would do is put a board in to check for Varroa. I wouldn't treat all of my hives, I just treat the colonies that are showing signs of Varroa drop. Now, it might just be 1 or 2 Varroa at this time of the year, so I would then go ahead and treat those. But I certainly wouldn't just go across all of the colonies and treat. So let's have a look at the oxalic acid treatment, and we'll get out to an apiary and I'll show you how we do it. So if this is your first time visiting one of my videos, you're very welcome. It's great to have you here. If you haven't already subscribed, please do hit the button down in the bottom corner there and subscribe for all of our videos. We've got a range of different videos and I'm sure you'll find some of it quite interesting, and we're going to be putting more videos up over the winter and as we go into the spring and into the new bee season in 2017. So let's talk a little bit about oxalic acid treatments. We use oxalic acid to treat for infestations of Varroa, so we're looking to destroy as many Varroa through the winter, and oxalic acid is known to be very effective at removing phoretic mites. Now those are the mites that are on the backs of bees that hang on to the bees. The oxalic acid treatment doesn't penetrate wax, so it won't kill any of the Varroa mites that happen to be in the cells, and this is why we try to find a period where there are no capped cells, so there's no sealed brood, because if you've got sealed brood and lots of it, then you're going to have potentially Varroa mites that are hidden in those cells and protected against the oxalic acid treatment. So that's the reason we look for a broodless period, or as near broodless as we can possibly get. So here in the UK, we're always recommended to use approved veterinary medicine products, and there is currently only one oxalic acid treatment that has been approved by the Veterinary Medicines Directorate, and that's called Apibioxal, and you can now purchase that fairly easily across the UK, so you shouldn't have any problems in obtaining some. We'll take a look at the packaging. At the moment, all of my Apibioxal is currently stored in one of the sheds at one of our apiaries, so we're going to mix up some sugar syrup and then we'll mix up the Apibioxal oxalic acid solution on site, and I'll show you how we do that. Literally just add it and shake, but we'll cover that off when we get out to the apiary. Apibioxal has an active ingredient which is oxalic acid dihydrate. That's in crystalline form, so you get it in a small packet in a powder, which you then mix into sugar syrup, and it's designed for use with honeybees that have Varroa destructor, so the Varroa mite, and is very useful as part of an integrated pest management solution. So you might use open mesh floors, you might use icing sugar to dust your bees, you could use a thymol based product through the summer, mite away quick strips. So this is just part and parcel of an overall management system of your bees that you would use if you choose to go down this route. I know there are lots of people out there that choose not to treat their bees. I choose to treat, and I think that that's the right thing to do. And so as part of an overall package of treatments, you can keep your bees pretty much free from any serious infestation of Varroa, and healthy bees mean that you're going to get a better honey crop and you're going to have more productive bees. So we treat with Apibioxal during a broodless period, so that's not necessarily just in the winter. You might find that you've got bees that have become queenless in the summer, that have swarmed and have a new queen, and you want to treat because you've got a serious infestation of Varroa. I would probably not recommend treating when you've got a brand new queen, but if you have a broodless period, then it's definitely worth treating them. Perhaps you've picked up a swarm and you've spotted that there are some Varroa on the bees. It would be worth treating them in that instance as well. So moving on to the oxalic acid powder itself, obviously be very careful with it. It is an irritant, so you need to be wearing at least gloves. If you're using a vaporizing method, then certainly glasses and a mask as well is recommended. But in terms of the powder, obviously if you get it onto your skin, you need to wash it off with soapy water, and make sure that you're just very careful when you're handling this product. So we're going to treat bees when the weather is particularly cold, when the bees cluster, and usually it's between maybe 14 down to 10 degrees centigrade when a colony will cluster. So if, as today, the weather is in single figures, I know that the bees are going to be in a cluster. So when we take the lid off, they're going to be in a tight ball, and we're just going to treat the seams of bees that we can see, and I'll point those out when we get out to the apiary. So one thing to bear in mind is that when you use this treatment, you might find that the bees become a little bit agitated, possibly not so much in the winter, but certainly through the summer. If they're not in a cluster and you're treating them with oxalic acid, then they are going to liven up a little bit, so just be cautious of that. And if you feel the need to wear a suit through the winter and put your hood up, then certainly do that. I think you'll find that the bees will be in such a tight cluster, particularly on a day like today when it's very cold, that they'll barely move. But it's always worth taking a precaution of wearing your suit and having your veil up, if that gives you the confidence to handle your bees in a positive manner. So don't listen to anybody that says, oh, there's no need to wear a bee suit, you don't have to put your hood up, you don't light a smoker. If that's how you feel more comfortable, then that's what you need to do. There are lots of different ways of treating your bees, of handling your bees, and you need to use a method that you feel most comfortable with. So ignore all of that advice and do what you feel comfortable with. So wear a suit, don't wear a suit, veil up, don't have the veil up. It's entirely up to you. For me, I will suit up because it's still quite cold out there, and I'll have a jumper on, and I won't put my veil up. But if the bees suddenly start to become very agitated, then I can quickly just pull the hood up and put the veil over and know that I'm going to be okay. So you can get the oxalic acid treatment in the form of Apibioxal in a range of different size sachets. The one that I have is a 35 gram sachet, and we need to mix that up with a certain amount of sugar syrup. And the sugar syrup is made in a 1-to-1 ratio, so 1 part sugar to 1 part water, and that's dissolved into 500 mils of the sugar solution. So we need to make up 500 mils of sugar solution for each 35 gram sachet, and that's sufficient to treat 10 colonies. So the maximum dosage is 50 mils. So if we have colonies where we've got very large clusters, we might use 50 mils throughout. So that would give us 10 colonies. You only need 5 mils per seam of bees, so if you've only got 5 seams of bees, then that's 25 mils. So a 35 gram sachet will go a lot further depending on the size of the colonies that you're treating. So as I said earlier, we're going to be treating in the middle of winter. We haven't got to worry about any honey flow that might be on. In the summer, if you wanted to use oxalic acid, don't treat bees when you've got honey flow on and you've got supers on the hive. So wait for a period when they're not pulling in lots of nectar, and you can treat them without supers. So the reason that oxalic acid is so effective against the Varroa mite is something to do with the low pH of the oxalic acid. So it somehow interferes with the Varroa mites, and that's what gives it the acaricidal effect on it, and that's why the Varroa mites are killed by the oxalic acid. So it's something to do with the low pH that causes issues with the Varroa mites and subsequently causes their death. So oxalic acid is a naturally occurring acid that will be found in honey, and so the bees are familiar with oxalic acid within their environment, and if you use the prescribed dosage, it should cause no real problems to the honeybees, but it means that you do need to mix everything up accurately, because you don't want a small increase in the percentage of oxalic acid to be then causing problems for your honeybees. So make sure that everything's mixed up according to the instructions on the packet. Okay, so in order to make up exactly 500 ml of sugar syrup on a 1-to-1 basis, you're going to need approximately 308 to 309 grams of sugar and 309 mils of warm water. This is just drifted over to 310, but as long as you're within a gram or two, I'm sure that that will be acceptable. So simply mix up with warm water to provide you with a 1-to-1 sugar syrup. So here we've got our sugar syrup, it's all dissolved. So now I'm going to pop this into a flask to keep it warm, and then we'll go over to the apiary and we'll mix in the Apibioxal powder. Okay, so we're at the apiary, and we've got our sugar solution all mixed up. I've put my gloves on, and this is the Apibioxal packet. It's a 35 gram packet, and we're going to add this to the flask of warm sugar solution. Just before we do, I'm just checking the expiry date on it and the lot number, and it expires in July 2018, so this is good to go, and we'll just have a look now at how I mix this up. Okay, so we'll just carefully cut the top off the Apibioxal sachet. And then we're going to put it into the flask. And just bear in mind that this is very corrosive and you don't want to get it on your skin. So that's the packet emptied, and then we're just going to pop the lid back on, and to mix it thoroughly I'm just going to shake the flask. Okay, so that's mixed, and we can now go and treat the bees. We've got chicken wire around this particular colony because we have got green woodpeckers in the area and they have done damage to some of our colonies before. So we're just going to remove the chicken wire. As you can see, I've got my bee suit on, but I won't put my hood up unless the bees get particularly agitated. The reason we use warm sugar syrup is twofold really. One is to make sure that the oxalic acid dissolves fully into the solution, but then secondly, we don't want to chill the bees when we're squirting this solution over them. We're going to draw up 50 mils, which is the maximum that you can treat on any one hive. So there we've got 50 mils, and then we'll open up the hive. Okay, so we'll gently take the roof off. Pop the prime board off. And here we can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seams of bees. So we're looking to just put 5 mils in each seam. So that's 5 mils there, 5 mils there, got our oxalic acid ready. There's 50 ml in the syringe. We've got a hive tool. We're simply going to take the lid off, pop the chrome board, and then we're going to trickle 5 ml per seam of bees. So we'll have a look to see how many seams we've got. Obviously I've got my suit on. Because we're going to take a little bit more time to show you the seams of bees as well, there's a chance that the bees will probably get a little bit more active than they normally would. So if they do come up, then I can simply just pop my hood over and I'm not going to get stung in the face. So let's come in close and take a look at this, and we'll get cracking with the treatment. Okay, so we're going to just pop the lid off, which has been propylized down. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seams of bees, and we simply, as you can see, the bees are quite active, so we're just putting 5 ml. Okay, so we're here at another apiary. We've got the Apibioxal solution ready, hive tool, and we're just going to take the chicken wire off this particular colony. Bee suits on. The bees are getting quite lively because we're taking extra time to just go through the demonstration, so it's always worth having your bee suit on just so you can flip your hood up. Okay, so we just pop the lid off. Lots of propolis. That crack will probably alert the bees, so we'll take the chrome board off, or the cover board. As you can see, the bees were alerted to the fact that we're here, so it's worth making sure that you've got your bee suit on. Okay, so that's that one treated. It's a very quick process, and it can make all the difference. So chrome board back on, and then the roof back on. Okay, so we've treated 2 apiary sites with a total of 10 colonies. Some of the bees were quite lively, others barely moved at all, so it's obviously worth wearing your bee suit and making sure that you have your veil up, just so that you don't run into any problems. We've now got to get back, clean our equipment and update our veterinary medicines administration records. So we keep a record of all of the medicines that we use to treat the bees with, and I'll show you how we do that in another video. I hope you found that useful. Hopefully the bees now will be set for the winter. They seem to have plenty of food. It's a good chance for you to have a look inside the hive and make sure that they've got enough food for the winter while you're giving them the oxalic acid treatment. So you can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone with that. Give us a thumbs up. Please do leave some comments if there's any questions you have. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do. We're going to post lots more videos, and we'll catch up with you next time. Thanks for watching.